Hello folks, and welcome to the latest Kitchen Garden podcast. It's April, spring has certainly sprung on the KG veg plots, and I'm here with Emma and Tony to chat through some of the things we're doing this month. So hi guys.
Hello.
Hiya.
Hiya.
Hello.
How you doing? Have you been busy out there? It's been a bit chilly still, isn't it, and wet?
Yeah, too many frosts at the moment, first thing. Last few
Yeah,
days.
still scraping the
Quite
car.
cold.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I suppose the ground's still pretty cold and wet out there. It's probably not ideal for sowing at the moment, but managed to get a few bits in. I've started with a few peas, which is quite a good one. I was going to plant them straight in the ground, but it's still so wet. I've put them in guttering instead. Have you ever tried the guttering? That seems to work pretty well for me. But
well, I've never bothered. I've usually just put them in cell trays. I mean, I have got some in the ground actually from cell trays, but they're not doing very well. Well, they're doing okay, but they're not shooting up. It's too cold, isn't it?
Yeah. The soil's still really cold, isn't it? It needs to be sort of, I don't know, 5 or 7 before anything really starts to grow, doesn't it? They say wait for your weeds to grow, don't they? If your weeds are growing, then it's probably okay to sow things.
Yeah.
But I've sown some, sown some early onward, not early onward, just onward main crop one. So I've not grown that one before. So I put it in guttering, not up yet. Only put it in a few days ago. But,
how far apart do you put the seed when you're sowing them in a bit of guttering then?
Well,
like you would in a normal row?
Yeah, still do be 3 rows, in a sort of staggered, I suppose there'd be, an inch, 2 inches apart, the seeds, but staggered in 3 rows down the guttering. And then they should be up pretty soon, I guess, within a week or 2. They should all be through and growing away, and hopefully then the soil will have dried out enough and warmed up a little bit more, and I'll put them out. I mean, they're very hardy. I'm sure they would have grown, but I was just a bit worried they'd sit there and rot. But
it's definitely the season, the year for growing a lot of stuff inside, isn't it? Starting stuff off.
The
seasons, the spring is going to be late. It is late this year, really, in terms of getting gardening going. And I think this sort of year is quite good if you can just get a bit ahead with a few things in pots.
Definitely. That's right.
So how are you protecting your peas, Steve? Or what are you doing?
Well, I've got them in, so they're in the guttering, just in the greenhouse at the moment. Cold.
I mean, when you put them out. When I put them out,
I'm quite lucky really. I've got a raised bed which is sort of near the back door of the house, so they don't get too many birds and things coming down there. But do
you run out when you see a bird then?
I do. Well, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Waving your hands.
Neighbours think I'm potty, but run out waving my hands and making strange noises. But no, I should put them out, and they're not too bad there. In fact, I always move my blueberry up to the same place later on in the year when it's fruiting, because we don't get the squirrels and the birds and the pigeons mainly. We get so many pigeons and squirrels in our garden. It's a bit of a battle, but I find up close to the house, it's quite a sunny spot as well, so they get plenty of sun. But otherwise down the garden, if I'm ever growing anything, I'll put a bit of netting over, or a bit of fleece early in the year, so it keeps them just that little bit more protected. But these ones I think should be all right by the time, where are we now, beginning April, so hopefully if I'm putting them out towards the end of April, might have warmed up that little bit, won't it? So shouldn't need any fleece. I'll harden them off as well, keep taking them out of the greenhouse, and then during the day. But it's a bit of a balancing act at the moment, because I've got so much stuff sown in pots but indoors, which is desperate to go out, but it's still too cold to get it out.
What are you growing your peas up? Are you using netting, Steve, or twigs, or what?
There's not space for pea sticks, so which I can use on a sort of open garden. So in this raised bed there won't be space, so I'll just use some canes and netting, I think. I've been using that jute netting, trying to keep the plastic down a bit.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Last year, a reader wrote in and said he was using buddleia twigs, and I did that last year, and they're really good. So if you've got a buddleia bush in your garden, just come the winter, take some of the twigs off it, and they make really good pea sticks.
Didn't think of that.
Good idea.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, I've got several buddleias. Never think to use the sticks, the stems. Always end up putting them through a shredder and putting them in the compost. But yeah, they'd be really useful, wouldn't they? Yeah. So got my first peas going. Got lots of tomatoes going, but they're struggling because they need to go out.
Yeah. I've got a few tomatoes growing, but they're very small. But I mean, we've got a feature in the. It's quite funny. We've got a feature, haven't we, in the April issue of about growing tomatoes outdoors. And it's kind of like you look at the weather at the minute and you think, what on earth would you possess you to do that? But I mean, in theory, if you've got some seedlings growing now, or if you go to the garden centres, you'll probably get some quite decent sized plants, little plants of tomatoes.
Yeah.
Check the label to make sure they're ones that you can grow outside. But it's worth buying some of those, and if you haven't got a greenhouse, it's worth trying. You've got a bit of ground to put something on, try a few tomatoes outside. I mean, I wouldn't put them out. You wouldn't put them out obviously until kind of like getting towards the end of May, June. But I mean, they can go outside during the day. You just got to bring them in, haven't you, in case there's a frost.
That's right. Yeah.
And then, but it's worth giving it a go. If we get a decent summer, half decent summer, and you've got a sheltered spot, a nice sunny spot, then you may get some quite good crops out of them, really. Yeah.
It's worth looking at the garden centre, actually, isn't it? Because it is, although you can't get all the varieties you could, if you're growing from seed at home, it does stop those headaches about, my plants are getting too big, they need to go out, but it's too cold, I can't put them out. What on earth am I going to do with them?
Well, they're grown in near perfect conditions, aren't they? So when you go and buy, so if you go and buy a tomato plant from a garden centre, sort of round about end of April, May time, they're good, robust plants, aren't they? And it's quite hard to get them to be like that when you're growing your own. If you're on a windowsill, if you haven't got enough light, they stretch a bit, and whereas they're at peak perfection when you buy them, as long as you get them fairly quickly from a garden centre, or the garden centre looks after them well. They can really grow on and make good fruiting plants. So, if you haven't got the facilities or the conditions to grow them from seed, it is worth getting a few, 3 to 6 tomatoes from a couple of growing bags and put them on the patio, and you should get some good crops.
I mean, but blight can be a bit of a problem, can't it? Particularly with outdoor tomatoes.
It is a risk.
But you can get the blight resistant ones, can't you?
It's things like Crimson Crush is a good variety. And there's quite a few varieties. There's one called Crimson Blush. And what else is there? There was a cherry one called Crimson Cocktail. They've got a lot of blight resistance. So there's a lot of tomatoes now you can get that, so you can grow them outside and not have that problem. Just tend to be a problem later on in the summer. But then that's the time when they're just about to start fruiting and ripening. So
I suppose you could
probably I
suppose you could put a little mini greenhouse as well if you've got one. Just one of those little simple, so they're sort of half in and half out then, aren't they?
That's right. I mean, those mini greenhouses, they come with shelves, don't they? But you just take the shelves out, you put a growing bag, it fits one growing bag at the bottom, those little ones, and then you can put 3 tomato plants in there, and then you could use the sort of shelf supports to tie strings and whatever, or tie the tomatoes to those as they grow. And then and also that will probably actually help keep some of the blight spores off as well.
Yes, I think they tend to come down in the rain, don't they?
There's cucumbers as well. You obviously can sow those outside if you haven't got a greenhouse. I mean, Market Moore's the big one, isn't it? That's the the one that a lot of people go for outside varieties.
Yeah.
So, alongside your tomatoes, you could have some cucumbers.
I mean, you could sow those now, couldn't you?
Yes, you could. Yeah.
It's not too late to sow those, probably, really.
I always find with cucumbers and courgettes, they always shoot up really quickly. Don't know about you, but just on a warm windowsill, they're always quicker than I expect, and that's why I don't tend to sow them too early, because within a couple of days, sometimes they've started.
Yeah,
so I probably won't sow mine till late April, early May. I don't think.
Okay,
yeah. I'm going for this year. I've tried the outdoor ones, and we often give seeds away on Kitchen Garden, don't we? Of those, the Market More, and the sort of outdoor ridge cucumbers. But I'm trying a greenhouse one, just called Mini Munch this year. So getting the little snack size cucumbers.
Yeah.
Because I struggle to get through whole cucumbers sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just it's not enough of us to eat them. There's only 2 of us, so the little snack size ones are great. I often do a second sowing as well, so I'll sow them once and then maybe wait a month and sow another couple. So I don't know what it is with me and cucumbers. I sometimes struggle to keep them going for very long. I don't know whether they just sort of fruit themselves out, or
just a question, because this came up last year with someone. It was about tomato feed with cucumbers, and I've always, for many years, given them tomato food, but last year I just gave them a kind of nitrogen feed, and they lasted much longer.
Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Yeah, I've always fed them with tomato food. You just just if you bought that, it makes sense just to use that, doesn't it, rather than buy several. But if that's the case, it'll be worth a try, Tony. Yeah.
It's bad when you think about it. They fruit quite easily, don't they? They fruit readily. So if you're actually using nitrogen, you're actually really putting a bit of power into the foliage, aren't you, in the leaves?
Yes.
And it's that which is supporting the crop. So in theory, that could, in theory, that should work quite well.
Well, I know somebody wrote in and said that was working for them. So I tried it last year and it did work for me. I still gave it some, tomato feed, but also the nitrogen as well. So I shall do that again this year, probably.
Right. Oh, well, I'll give that a go too. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to try and make some nettle feed this year, but I always get a bit torn because just as you go to take the tops off, I've got some growing olive patch in the garden. You get the butterflies coming, so I never want to cut them. So it doesn't really work for me. But nitrogen feed. So give that a go for sure. Yeah. I've also sown some beetroot. We've got a nice feature on beetroot in the April magazine from Martin Fish. I'm trying a few varieties. One I also got free from Kitchen Garden, which was Crosby's Egyptian, which is sort of a turnip shaped one, really. Sort of a flatter root to it. Looks lovely. So I've sown some of those, and I've sown a heritage one called Avon Early, which I don't know anything about at all, but I managed to get from the Heritage Seed Library, so I'm going to try that one as well. But I've sown mine early. I know Martin says he doesn't sow his till end of April because beginning of April because the soil's too cold. But I sowed mine early in the Polytunnel to try and get an early crop before the tomatoes go in. Hopefully they'll come out before the tomatoes go in. But I'm going to give those a try. But do love me beetroot. So
did you say you put some potatoes in last week, Steve? Did you say?
Oh yeah, put some potatoes in bags. Yeah, just some Charlotte.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I haven't really got an awful lot of space for potatoes, so
no, you put them in
tend
bags.
to grow them in bags.
Yeah.
Uses a lot of compost, but then I used a lot of the spent compost I'd used last year to grow things in tubs to cut down on the amount you have to buy in all the time. And just sprinkle a little bit of fertiliser in to enrich it a little bit. So I got 4 or 5 bags of spuds on the go. Have you put yours in yet, Tony?
Mine is here, and I keep meaning to do it. They're chitting nicely, but I haven't got round to it yet.
That'll be fine, won't it?
I was going to do it yesterday, get bags out of the shed, put them in, and then I was see what size bags I've got. Do you do a one potato bag or 3 potato bag? It all depends on the size of the bag, doesn't it?
Yeah,
What are you?
I've got the little bag, you know, those
The little
small polythene bags, which I've had for years, and I reuse them every year. They last for ages.
Yeah.
So just stuck one decent sized tuber or 2 small ones in one of those.
Yeah.
But they reckon small bags are better than big ones, don't they?
I've heard that.
I don't know the science behind it, but they say you get a bigger yield from smaller bags than the great big potato planter type things. So give those a go. See how they get on.
And have you put those in the polytunnel to start? Have you?
I'm actually putting them outside, but again, they're in a sheltered spot, and well covered over with compost. So I've not filled the bags. I've just half filled them, but I was hoping that'd be enough to keep the frost off if there was any. And I'll top them up as they go. So they're on the go. And what else have we got? I've got some salad leaves going on in there in the polytunnel again, which I sowed earlier in the year. So they're coming on nicely, and some lettuces that sowed in the autumn, which are a sort of heritage variety, which are ready now. So I've been picking those for about a week. They're called Bronze Arrow, and they're just nice sort of reddy green leaves, or bronzy green leaves, obviously. Clues in the name.
Bitter, being red. I always find the red ones a bit bitter, but are they all right?
Well, yeah, they are a little. As now you mention it, they are a little bit. I don't know whether the time of year makes a difference as well, because they grew through all that cold. They're obviously very hardy. We had some very cold weather, didn't we? I lost a lot of plants in the garden this year, but they battled through. But maybe that's affected them as well. They're maybe a little bit tougher than they might normally be. So perhaps that's got something to do with the cold. But still nice to have something to pick at this time of year, isn't it?
We've got some. I like those mixed oriental leaves. We do a lot of those, and I've got some landcress coming up, which is a good substitute for watercress. Nice for salads. Yeah, so I've got some outside trugs with covers on for those.
Very hardy, isn't it? That's. I've got some ticking over on the plot all winter, and it's just
landcress.
Picking it in February. And it's not. And what's nice about it, I mean, it's quite a strong flavour when it. Again, I think it's possibly the cold and the fact it's growing quite hard, but it is quite a nice flavour. It's not as strong as some of the other.
No, it's nice. We love it in salad.
Yeah. Oh well, we got Easter coming up, so I'm hoping to.
Got a long weekend.
I'm not sure what the weather's gonna be doing, but hope we can get out there and do a little bit. Got all my tomatoes to prick out and move on. So that'll be the main job for me, I think, over the holiday.
Yeah.
And cutting the lawn, unfortunately. So it's growing like
the grass is growing well.
Yeah.
Have you got some peppers growing as well?
Peppers, got a few, but they looked a bit miserable at first. I've sowed them. I can't remember when I sowed them now. Way back in February, I think. And they were really slow, but they're coming through now. I'm mostly doing sweet peppers, but you like your chilies, don't you, Tony?
Yeah, I've got a few chilies on the go, and they need pricking out a little bit. They're getting a bit leggy, but I've got one called what's it called? Hang on, sorry, I never remember the name. It's called Medusa. It's a warmish chili, but it's the Gorgon in Greek myth, where she's got serpent hair. Well, it's sort of the fruit is going to look like that. Apparently, I've not grown it before. Ooh. So I'm looking forward to that. It's quite ornamental as well. So that's the only sort of new one I've grown this year. They're coming up okay.
Yeah. Well, if you say it's hottish, it must be, Because I know you like you like them fiery, don't you?
Well, I'll never forget when we did some filming, and Emma made me eat an Armageddon. She made me bite into it, and it was quite amusing seeing my face as I rushed off camera to get some
very
milk.
We tried not to laugh, but we couldn't help it.
But it's funny, my grandson actually, I grew some Carolina Reapers, which, as you know, is the hottest chili, last year. And I popped, he said, "Oh, I'll try those." And he popped them into his curry. And I don't think he chopped it up or whatever, but it was pretty hot anyway. And I thought at one stage I was going to have to take him to A&E because he was in a lot of pain.
Oh no!
I shouldn't laugh, but it was funny.
Oh.
He's all right. After about an hour or so, he was fine.
Oh, but jalapenos about all I can manage. I'm a real wimp with chilies.
No, I think you have to be careful with them. I don't grow any super hot ones. It was more out of curiosity, really.
Yeah. I've been trying to grow a few tree chilies this year. Well, last year. When they grew really well, and they're lovely flavour, sort of a smoky flavour.
Yeah.
But I can't overwinter them. I think
no.
My mistake was cutting them back. I cut them back enough to sort of get them in the greenhouse, but then they tend to rot if you do that. I think you need a heated. But,
mine fail every year whenever I've tried to overwinter them. I just haven't got the knack. It just doesn't work.
No. If anybody's listening and got some tips for us on overwintering chilies, we'd be very grateful. Because they're lovely plants. They're just nice to look at as well. It's a nice patio plant in a way.
Yeah,
tree chilies. Yeah,
true.
Really, really lovely. And hot, but I can just about manage them. They're not too bad. It's a nice flavour. Oh well, it's great to chat, folks. I'm sort of feeling I'm getting behind in the garden, so I suppose we better wrap up and carry on. But before we go, just to remind you to subscribe to the podcasts. You'll find that we put on podcasts regularly. Either the team having a chat like this morning, or we have features. Rachel Atkins reading features from the magazine. So do that. Go and subscribe. Also, if you visit www.classicmagazines.co.uk, you can subscribe to Kitchen Garden. Get it delivered to your door every month. And if you look out for our Prime subscription, just £4.99 a month, which is £2 off the cover price, you'll get the magazine plus up to 10 packets of free seeds every month. And with the price of seeds rocketing, that's a pretty good deal. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll say goodbye and speak to you next time. So bye, team.
Bye.
Bye.
See you soon. If you've enjoyed this video, press the like button, and also give us a comment. Let us know what you're doing in the garden at the moment. And if you like our videos generally, it'd be really great if you'd subscribe to our YouTube channel.